What if our degenerative practices against the environment, against each others with fellow humans was related to our disconnection, to seasons, to cycles, and also the consequences of colonialism that prevent us to have this regenerative mindset? That's what we're going to discuss with Rania Youssef that is with me today. Hello, I'm Marianne Bernasconi, and I'm having this channel on YouTube and also on podcast platforms to discuss about regeneration. How can we regenerate our relationship with the living world, with the environment, and within our human community? And to explore this topic, I'm having conversations and interviews with a wide variety of people, with experts, with researchers, with authors, geographers, philosophers, artists, and so on. And I'm delighted to have you, Rania, today with me. Before we dig into the topic, can you please tell me who you are?
Okay, hello. So I'm Rania. My name is Rania. I'm an Egyptian refugee living in France. I am a queer, African, Arab, polyamorous, also a single mother, and also a developer. And I have an association that talks about the intersectionality of discrimination inside the tech industry. And we're trying to create a movement about decolonizing technology. So it's a big topic. So we're trying to talk about all these little things and how they're all intersectional together. What else would I say? Yeah, I'm all these intersectionalities together. So I'm pretty proud and happy about this. And I'm really happy to be here and to be talking to you, and let's discover this topic.
So you're talking about colonialism in tech, the tech industry. Where does it come from? Why do we need to decolonize it? And how come it is a topic that is connected with colonialization?
Okay, so I think let me talk a little bit about the frustration that happens inside the tech industry, how I faced it. So I'm a backend developer. I go inside the tech industry. We try to speak. I try to speak to people about, I don't know, queer rights, women's rights, and then you realize the topic is not really. It's not really there. It's like a group of bros. All of them are bros, and like it's very machos, and you can see it from how tech is actually representing itself. You see it with Elon Musk and all of these groups that all these men that are ruling or whatever. But once you go to see this, and okay, there's a problem with sexism, there's a problem with homophobia, there's a problem with that. And then I started to really dig deep into it and to see what is the connection. So when I came to France and I'm in the tech industry and it's really terrifying and I'm really scared about it, I started digging into the work of Ariella Aisha Azoulay, Dr. Ariella Aisha Azoulay, and she has been working a lot when it comes to the relationship between art, colonialism, and queer rights. And as a queer person, I see how the tech industry is very homophobic. I'm like, okay, let me dig deeper into this. And then I found another book that I come across. It was called Palestine, the Laboratory. And Palestine, the Laboratory was actually talking about how all the technological services that are used for weaponry and are used for even getting our attention, digital IDs, all of these testing stuff have been tested in Palestine. This was really the door. And I'm like, okay, this is the door. And I look at all my frustrations. I go to the feminist places in the tech industry and I'm the darkest person. I'm the first racialized there. I'm the darkest person. I'm like, this is a big problem. I go to racialized places. I'm probably one of the few queers. I go to queer places. I find myself as the only single mother. So it made no sense to see all these identities completely separate without finding that there is some radical core to all of them. And especially, I traveled as well in multiple places. I lived in Vietnam, I lived in Malaysia, I am Egyptian, and I come to Europe and you look at the system itself and I'm like, it's identical everywhere on earth. There's some kind of homogeneity it's a really homogeneous world, and you see it in education system. You go to Vietnam or Malaysia or in Egypt, you see the same hierarchies in the education system. You find the mathematics and the English and all of these stuff and physics on top. You find arts always at the bottom. And even inside the arts, there's a hierarchy. There's a lot of people that have been working into this. That's it. I found the core, dug deep into the decolonial movement, and I just listened to all the racialized and activists, decolonial activists that have been working for many years. It's not even mine. Like, this is a work of, it existed as long as colonialism existed. So let's bring it to tech. You see, because tech is super fast, and that's what's happening. It's really, really fast. And let's say like what people started to use the internet, let's say 30 years ago or 25 years ago, that's maximum it. People did not have the time to bring all the colonial vocabulary that has been existing already with activists inside the tech industry. But you see it a lot happening. You see also a lot of work of Tim and Gibbon. I cannot pronounce their name. Please, God, forgive me for this. Joy Baldwin as well. I cannot pronounce the names. I have really big problems with them. But they talked about the biases in the algorithms, and they talked about how racism is coded, how homophobia is coded, how sexism, patriarchy, and all of this is coded because of all of these reasons, because how tech grew super fast with these colonial mindsets, with these men, with Silicon Valley. So this is the big road, and try to summarize the big road. That's how we reach to what's happening. Why is it important to decolonize? Because we need to, because we have to. Like it should not be like, it shouldn't even be a question for people. It's like, would you like to commit this evil, and would you like to actually be part of it? Because I think in order to even commit these colonial acts, it's not just for the oppressed people, it's also for these colonial actors. They are losing part of their humanity, and this is not good for the whole world. If you have a small group that lost big part of their humanity, everybody is catastrophic. Even in nature, you always see it like this. So it's a must for everybody to work on it. This is a work of more than 400 years, and it's accumulating on top of each other. Technology is just adding the final colonial touch of it. And not just like, I feel like the answer is going to be mostly in the smaller communities. It's going to be all the work that people have been doing, the natives have been doing, indigenous people have been working on all of this. We need to listen to them. We need to regenerate outside after the death of colonialism, and accept it and deal with it, and deal with the trauma of colonialism, and heal either as colonizer side or as somebody who's colonized. Yeah, that's whoa. There's a lot of things to say about why, but for me to be as selfish as possible, I would like for my child and all my friends' children to have a society that's much better, that's more accepting, that is not stealing their attention, stealing every moment of their time, stealing their lives whatsoever, without like how technology actually, not just technology, but how the colonial world has hijacked our nervous system to the core, to our diet, to our colors, to our clothes, everything. Sometimes I feel like we're swimming in plastic. The clothes are plastic, the plates are plastic, and we're not. I wish for our kids, for my child to be better, to not have homophobic ideologies encrypted and coded in every single argument that he has, or sexism and patriarchy as the base foundation of everything. And then we start from there. So I think, yeah, that was a lot of it. Big time.
Yeah, and listening to you, I find it highly strategic to start with the tech, because it seems that tech is ruling our lives now, because we are connected all the time. We are influenced by algorithm. Our political voice is influenced. The way we reason, the way we buy stuff, everything is biased through all this algorithm and all this screens and technology that is everywhere in our lives. As you said, it's if colonialism is embedded, white supremacy culture is embedded in all these tools, it's going to make us even more separated ideas, with ideas of rejection and looking at each other as like enemy or strangers. And probably it's part of a strategy, some kind of evil strategy of people that benefit from all this division. So I can really understand the strategic way of doing things to start with the tech world. And even though at the beginning, I imagine it was not really intended, it reflects the mindset of the past that unfortunately is back and really powerful now. And also, I will share this document that you shared with me, because it really describes how white supremacy is everywhere, and we can really relate it to all this degeneration movement that we're experiencing in our human world. I can see, so there are some topics that are kind of obvious, like paternalism, but also we can find perfectionism, sense of urgency, defensiveness, quantity over quality, the rush we are all the time in, worship of the written word. So it's not really intuitive, all those white supremacy ideas, culture. What can you say about this?
The thing about this culture, it's not something that you can say, oh, look at that. It's right there. It's obvious. Sometimes it is that obvious, but we need to understand that all of these things are embedded within us. Like just simple example, like I'm telling my son not to go to school tomorrow. I'm just like, it's done. It's snowing outside. This is inhumane. Just don't go at 7:00. He was not feeling comfortable. He feels like he's doing something wrong. And we all feel this. We all feel this as like when you're resting, you feel like, did I miss something? Something is right not happening. I need to be doing, I need to be working, I need to find a hobby, I need to do something. And I'm like, this self-optimization, continuous self-optimization that we have is part of it, and it's so insidious that these things are deeply, deeply in us. You can also see it, it's not just as simple as like we are documenting everything. It could be as simple as when a friend comes and tells you how they felt about racism or how they felt about, for example, homophobia or sexism. We don't really always listen to them. We need the data. I need the numbers. I need something that I can go back to. And it's just as simple as not maybe believing completely your friend. So these things are really, really, really embedded on us. And it's not, whiteness is not a color. It's not something that comes with just white people that are doing whiteness. As a culture that is embedded in all of us and homogenous all over the world. You go to Vietnam, you have people that are either Vietnam or Egypt, my country, you still have all the creams have bleach in them. What is happening? What is this homogeneity that's happening? And this is the insidious part of it, that it's embedded inside of it. We cannot really always catch it. We cannot always find it. It needs to be discussed on a society, on a community level. People need to sit and talk about it. Like, was my behavior like that? We need to catch ourselves when we're doing these things as well. Because there's something I call like the point system. Sometimes I find myself, for example, like we do that sometimes in order to be closer to either to whiteness or to be closer to the default normal right way. Right? Maybe I stand in front of somebody that is not queer. I'm like, the queers, they're annoying everyone. They're doing blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, deep inside me, it's not really that. It's kind of like a point system that we're trying to get to the oppressive people. We try to get closer to them because that's the default. That's what we're supposed to be like. This is the standards. You see it also in beauty standards all the time. You see people trying, maybe racialized people are trying to, not just racialized people, all women in general, trying to remove all the hair in their body. And it's deeply, 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 deeply connected to racism and the separation between the beast and the human, and how it was used for white women, for the standards of whiteness, for white women to be on top and not to assimilate themselves to the black and the brown peers or the black and brown slaves that they had. So it's so complicated and it takes so much work. And this is what I try to explain to people: decolonization or decoloniality, which is the active action of doing the work of decolonization. It's going to take years, and it's going to take a lot of talk and a lot of community building. And if we're going to even talk about technology, we need to see what technology is being offering us as a substitute. For example, you have the biggest problem right now, and I was a single mother at the age of 21. It was one of the first things that I read. It's like, this is the loneliest time in the history of humankind for mothers and their children. In the humankind of history is like, this is the loneliest. And what has been happening? Technology has been giving us YouTube channels. Just put your child in front of it. If you have to go to work, you have to do this, blah, blah, blah. What did YouTube really solve here? YouTube is just acting as a babysitter, which is exactly what mothers have been missing, which is the community. It's not really the YouTube. It's not the technology. Technology is just existing to serve something that they took away from us in the community with the colonial mode. Spread the people, divide us. The child, 18 years old, get out, find the car, get a job, blah, blah, blah. It's all to divide and conquer. And it will take so many years to just be able for communities to regenerate, sit and regenerate together. Because the whole core of colonial power was to divide and conquer, and to split us based on identities and based on the written word and what is the right and wrong and what is on top and what are the standards. And you see it, we're still struggling with like the nation ideas. I'm like, no, I'm French. No, I am German. No, even me, I'm Egyptian. I'm Sudanese. And I'm like, we still need to figure out how can we go farther than that and not be stopping at like, okay, there's a border. If you look at the border between Egypt and Sudan, it's hilarious. It's like a line with a ruler, like really straight line with a ruler. And you're like, okay, when people come and tell me, it's like, Egypt has so many pyramids. And I'm like, well, Sudan has more. I don't know. Go look at the line and figure out who was building what, because I actually don't think we know anything because this line is new. We don't know how we really moved between these two places. It's known. It's like the countries on the Nile. It was not just this part or that part and that part. Egypt has been there historically long, but what was called Egypt, it was not what's called Egypt right now. Egypt was mostly, for example, just Cairo as a city. It was more of cities and they were functioning separately. And yeah, I really wish we can go back to the point which is like what colonialism really took. It's not just the idea that the death, no more regeneration, but it's faster and also the stopping of diversity. You need it in order to exist in nature. You cannot just put one plant separately said in something and it's like, why is it not thriving? Why is it super sad? Now you have this one homogeneous culture and it's not working. It's not working. It's gonna die. It's gonna self-implode and kill itself and die. And we need to bring back all the other plants in the ecosystem. We need to bring back the animals to the ecosystem. We need to bring back the identities. Even education. Education needs to be like part of the daily activities. The child goes to the uncle to learn, I don't know, the uncle's making pizza. You find the other person is doing the metal work on the side. It was not only schooling system, or at least it wasn't like this. And so many cultures had so many ways of passing knowledge. You have in South America, they had the knots. That was their language to pass information. You had Egypt, to be honest, when I think about it in Egypt, like Egypt is a big, massive fetish, like because of the written word, because Egypt has documented written history, which it's always used as an example of like, look, Egypt documented and the rest of Africa did not document the written word, even to the core of how my entire history was studied, which is Egyptology. There's no Sudanese-ology. There's no Libyan-ology. There's Egyptology. And even my entire history was studied by colonial powers. All of it. We don't know how it actually was outside of the heteronormative, cis, homophobic ideologies, white supremacist ideologies. It took us to many places, forgive me.
No. But so when I listen to your words, I really assimilate this supremacy to death, separation. Even the written process is dead because we can value it because it documents, and at the same time, it's not as alive as oral traditions, where it's like a living organism that is growing and being adapted and being enriched by every new storytellers. So everything you just said relates to death. And so it's interesting to see how this death virus contaminated the whole world for such a long time now. And intellectually, we know that we need this diversity because with all the dictatorships that we had, we know that this monoculture of thinking, monoculture of fear, of standardization leads to death. And even though we know it, we're still unconsciously or consciously subscribing to it. And that's interesting.
Yes.
Sad at the same time.
It's sad and interesting, and I still feel like there's always that part of me that I keep thinking, are we tapping into it by choice? Or is it shoved down our throat? Because I feel like because of technology, at least the last few years, I don't feel like they even gave us space to, okay, I'm out. I don't want to do this anymore. There's no room of personal choices to affect so much even on our own lives. Like, for example, let's assume, okay, you decided to go off technology completely. Good luck. There's absolutely no way. They don't even give us the choice to be able to tap out at all, completely. It's like, let's assume tomorrow I wake up and I'm like, I'm done with this world. I'm done with this life. I'm going to shut off completely technology. You can't leave your house. You can't buy food. You cannot get shelter. You need to pay your internet. You need to pay your housing. There's absolutely no way out of it. And I think it was part of their marketing campaign to put the blame on us, to tell us it's you who's buying the Coca-Cola and you who is drinking the Coca-Cola that is destroying Earth, when we know that they've been sucking the resources. They did so many campaigns in order to use psychology. The sciences that people like are supposed to be helping us are the same sciences that are used to manipulate us. How can we make sure that these kids are addicted to sugar from a very young age? Like, even there was a study that was talking about Cerelac. And I used to love Cerelac so much. It's the baby food. I think it's Nestle. And they found out that they were adding a small percentage of sugar to the cereal for the babies and people in the global south. And I'm like, okay, then you have high percentages of diabetes, high percentages of heart diseases, and all of these things. How could we tap out at this point? And especially they're reaching really vulnerable communities. And it's so easy to say, like, we can tap out. No, we cannot. This whole thing is super systematic. And in order to be able to tap out, we need so many structural community work that will take so many years, and it will take so much pain, and it needs professionals. We need the people the natives, we need the people that have been studying this science, but outside of it, the people that have been trying to deconstruct what we already have when it comes to universities, the structure of universities, the structure of the pharmaceutical industry in itself, the structure of psychology, even drugs. What does it mean, drugs? What does it mean, all these concepts and the names they've been feeding us for years and years and years? So that's why I'm thinking is like, I cannot blame any of us anymore for not being able to tap out. They have worked so hard and they studied us so well to know what is our needs. You know, like, I will never forget, I have a friend of mine, she's like, Spotify was harassing her continuously every time. Right before the breakup, it prepares a breakup album for her. It's like, your best songs for a breakup. It's like, it knows exactly when we will do the personal things that we're doing. And it's sad that we are tapping in it without consciousness, but I don't even know how far we can track their absolute control, because it was not just colonialism. Right now it's colonialism and technology, and it's everywhere. But let's say, for like, there has been a lot of people that were rebelling. There has been a lot of communities that managed to stay outside of the radar of colonial powers. But then you had the idea of nation states and the homogeneous idea of nation states. Nobody can tap out of this. Nobody can tap out of, say, like, tomorrow, I don't want to have a birth certificate. I don't want to have an ID. I don't want to have a passport or something like that. You can't. And if anything, even if you try to do something like that, they will call you stateless and they will blame it on you. If you're just a normal animal migrating, it's your fault. Anything that's within the natural boundaries of what humans want, they completely blocked it and shamed it even. It's like anything outside of the binary, cis, hetero, monogamous ideologies, you don't have room to exist. So it's, I wish we can change it. And that's why step by step, we're going to change it. I believe in us, because I think there's nothing we can do but hope right now. And actually the world is waking up. When you see, like, what's happening with the Venezuelan president. My God, they kidnapped a president. They kidnapped a president out of his home, a whole one, like a whole president. I'm like, this is insane. But as an Egyptian, they did the same with Saddam Hussein. They kidnapped him in Iraq and they humiliated the entire population. Like, watch what we can do. We have absolute power. And this was all over the Arabic-speaking world, mostly. It was the Arabic-speaking world watching this, the kidnap of Saddam Hussein, the killing, the murder of Saddam Hussein as well. But it's not the same reaction as before. People, when Iraq was happening, people were still thinking that, oh, there was nuclear weapons. There was, I don't know, people are saying, oh, we don't know, they were a threat. Right now, most of the people are saying, no, Venezuela has the oil. Venezuela is just a strategic colonial move to take all the resources that are there. And I'm pretty sure it's also deeply connected to technology somewhere or another, because all the technology needed for the AI chips, lithium, cobalt, coltan, these are all countries that are completely destroyed. And now Venezuela, they're going. It's like people now are watching and seeing, they're connecting. I think, like, I'm not a technophobe whatsoever. Technology got me where I am as an Egyptian. I wouldn't have read anything. I wouldn't have been able to reach books or get PDFs or anything like that. And I think it could be, I hope, I wish it could help us in the collective amnesia that we have, because we do have collective amnesia about how to talk, how to regenerate, how to build communities, how to understand the plants that we live around, how to even listen to our bodies, the cycles, the sicknesses that I'm pretty sure we used to understand our own bodies much more than we are doing right now. So maybe I can see a lot of people, especially after Palestine. Palestine woke people up, and then people right now are connecting the dots. It's resources. Gaza has the gas. Sudan has the gold. Congo has the cobalt and the coltan. Venezuela has oil, and it's all just a game of death and destruction over resources for these colonial, white, patriarchal, supremacist ideologies. Engraved and automated with technology now with the press of a button. We're like, this is how how Israel has done it, how the Zionists have done it. They have an AI called Lavender AI, and basically there's Lavender and there's another AI that's called Word Daddy, which is super weird and freaky, creepy name. And basically with a click of a button, you can identify all the, I don't know, men from this specific age to that specific age that could be labeled as terrorists and bomb them once they get home. That's a press of a button. And racism can make you think that this is happening there. It's far, far, far away. It's not coming to us. But if you look at what's happening right now in the history, the digital IDs that were tested in Palestine now are being applied all over the world, starting Vietnam, Thailand, then the UK has been trying to push it. The AI that's being used there, why not use it in Kashmir? Why not use it in Venezuela right now when I take the president? Why not use it against the migrants and the refugees here? And this is one of the reasons actually I got to understand this whole thing is I saw this a little bit of the whole chain of technology itself from the core, from the beginning to the end is exploitive, from the smallest component of the phone and the battery and the lithium inside of the battery coming from destruction of one country to the software that's being applied, tested on Palestinians and people in the global south to be applied here on people, to be applied to manipulate the elections. And this technology has been used by the European Union to control the migrants and the refugees. And they use they manufacture consent by this way, by saying it's like, it's the asylum seekers, they're the evil ones, they're the migrants, be aware, or the refugees, they're going to come and take your resources, blah, blah, blah. And because of that, we need to apply this technological stuff for security. So we need to move on from racism. We need to understand white supremacy, to understand this is coming for everybody because of the layer of technology. Now it's automated. And now with a click of a button, now you cannot hold the machine accountable. You cannot hold it accountable. You cannot hold the AI, where's daddy AI accountable. You need to hold the people accountable, but you can't find them. Who pressed the button? Good luck. So yeah, a lot.
And also listening to you, I have the feeling that this state of colonialism, of oppressors, has been around for a few thousands of years right now. When we think about the Roman history, the Greek history, it was all about colonialism and even before. So we've been into this oppress versus victim status for such a long time. And what I feel now is that this technology is allowing a few of us to go even further. So it's pushing us faster and with a huge, massive effect more towards division, death, and destroying everything. Actually, we really have the power through technology to push this idea of separation and death even further to the point of whole destruction of humanity. So at some point, I mean, if we only think in this way, we just can just be in depression and just stop doing anything. But at the same time, we also have the power of using this technology for other effects. So at this point of the conversation and moving slowly toward the end of this episode, what can we do? How can we think with positivity in this situation? What hope do you have? What makes you feel laugh during the day?
Oh, babies. I love babies. I know, super random. You like children so much. Babies are super cute. They're the answer to the world. I feel like they make the world soft. You know, all these strong-hearted people, once you have like a child in the existence, they're like, they get so super soft-hearted. I think sometimes even hope is not a choice, because when I look at Sudanese mothers that are fleeing the conflict. There's no joke. You're not gonna sit and weep and cry and say, "Oh, my life," and you have a child that's kidnapped and I don't know what's gonna happen to him. So you need to keep moving. So I feel like even sometimes choosing hope is a privilege. Choosing it, because you don't have a choice. You need to keep moving. There's no joke. You need to keep moving. Something has to change somewhere at some point. And it's not by us. It's just like putting small like nails in the system so till this building crumbles step by step. And I bet on I bet on community. I bet on individuals till I die. Really, when I went to the European Union Parliament and I saw all these top people sitting debating nonsense. I swear to God, they're not talking about anything important whatsoever. Policies after policies after policies. And I keep telling them, people are not even in this place anymore. Like that, you could have had this conversation maybe 50 years ago, but we're not in the same place. If you look at the situation from the top to the bottom, it's really sad. It's really actually scary. But when you look at the situation from the bottom to the top, actually a lot of things are changing. 5 years ago, you wouldn't have been sitting with somebody talking about why do we have to work in the winter. That wasn't even a conversation. People were still, let's go out, let's keep moving. Right now, this is a conversation. People are saying, I'm tired. I'm tired of capitalism. People are trying to understand why are we exhausted? Why are we tired? And I think we have to take this hope wave and I wouldn't say use it or even study it analytically like the white researcher that wants to analyze everything. Just be like a river and ride it. Like just go with it. And I'm pretty sure like I really have so much hope. Talking to so many people, things are really changed. Like at the core level of like, at least food should be available. At least the person that is living nearby me that could have chickens can maybe give me eggs without the government having to annoy me or without the taxes or something. Many crumbs have been following like Palestine, and then people started to understand about Sudan, and now people are starting to understand about Venezuela. I cannot unsee that. They can sit together and talk about policies and sucking all Earth's resources and build their bunkers. They can do that. But eventually it's power to the numbers. That's the thing that we need to work on, everybody together. It's like, what is an identity? How did my identity come towards me? How did I build my own identity? Let's build together something else. Let's regenerate as a community, as individuals sitting together, as clusters of people, not bother with them. And I think it was very interesting because there was a moment of death after the 7th of October, a death of our heroes and institutions, and these big institutions of like Harvard University. I don't know, all of these big entities that used to say it's like, oh, they have the science, they have the human rights, they understand sociology and all of these things. We saw how they acted with Palestine. We saw all these international laws over and over and meeting in the parliament and talking about, should we cease fire? Should we not cease fire? I'm like, really, we're debating this right now. We're in this level of like, is it okay to kill children? This is where we are. And I think this was really important moment of death when it was really heartbreaking. It was sad, like everything you believed in, the institutions turned out to be complicit. The food that you eat turned out to be complicit. The celebrities we used to follow, every single one of them turned out to be complicit, or even the writers is like suddenly, oh, I stand with this or I don't do that. I think that was so important that we have this moment of death for these old gods to happen so we can start to regenerate. And it's happening. I see it in my world. We're talking about what is an identity. Of course, colonialism, the colonial wound and the colonial trauma is there. It's in me. It's in white people. It's in everybody, this colonial trauma. And we are gonna get there. I believe in us so much. I believe in humans, and we find a way. Natives found a way to deal with their environment, and we're gonna find a way to deal with them, just like the virus they are, and try to work on it together.
Yeah, and I have this image of plants that go through the concrete and literally go through it, and even though it looks so hard, concrete, but there's some breaches, some places we can go and find our way. So that's what I want to remember. And to conclude and to close with this session, are there books, movies, I don't know, documentaries that you could share to nourish our minds, and you have a final thought with us to help us navigate these crazy times?
The snow keeps telling me, is like, please talk about death. Please talk about death. Please tell people to die a little bit. It's okay. It's not so bad. That's all I'm thinking about. It's like, we really need to accept sadness, depression, all of these. It's not bad. It's just is. And it's there to help us rebuild, regenerate, start a new cycle, look up for what's coming next, and for hope. There's the work of Ariella Aisha Zulay. There's also the work of Sarah Ahmed. She wrote, what's it called? The Killing Joy Club. The Kill Joy Club. And it talks about people like us that most of the time we annoy the joy. It's like, please don't say something sexist. Please don't say something homophobic. So we're like the kill joy. And also, I really think the world is going to heal. Every empire dies. Nothing lasts forever. Earth does not know one cycle situation. It cannot happen. It's meant to die. And we really, I believe in the community, and we need to do the work ourselves with the community, not alone, not hyper individual white supremacist culture. Like, I can do it. No, actually, on a way of an Ubuntu culture, which is, if we are not okay, I am not okay. Yeah, keep reading and keep listening to people that are racialized, because they have the knowledge deep, 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 deep to the core, and it's supernatural. It's in the stomach. Our knowledge is really deeply in the stomach, and we just need to connect with it, and that's it.
Thank you so much, Rania. And I will keep on having conversation with other inspiring people such as you are. Thank you to remind us about how we need to accept this part of our history, accepting cycles and death, to be able to make a new space for something that is willing and wanting to emerge. And so please subscribe to be notified with new speakers and new inspiring people talking about how we can regenerate our way through these weird, dark times. Thanks again, Rania.
Thank you, Mary.